Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Biz-M-Power webinar series. This series is on retail stores. Thank you for joining us during your lunch hour. My name is Theresa Ng. I'm the Community Project Manager. Here at Mass Grove Capital Corporation. I lead the Biz-M-Power grant program, which aims to promote economic success for entrepreneurs, small business owners like yourself here in Massachusetts. I was first hired on as coalition liaison in helping with one of the largest COVID-19 small business grant programs and helping owners that needed language and technical assistance to cross the finish line to get awarded. Before that, I was in the food and beverage industry, specifically craft coffee, and I helped launch a coffee bar inside a fitness studio as part of their extension for lifestyle brand. And I have a business management and entrepreneur degree. And I'd like to introduce Jonathan Berk, who is VP over at Patronicity.
Hi, everyone.
Jonathan, do you want to share a little bit about yourself before we introduce?
Sure. Vice President at Patronicity. We've been around for about 8 years doing community-driven placemaking and small business support across the U.S. Helped launch the Biz-M-Power program alongside Theresa and the folks over at MGCC about a year or so ago. And myself and our entire team have been really enjoying and excited to continue to work to support small businesses across Massachusetts and kind of helps hopefully break down sort of the barriers and the sort of fear of the unknown around crowdfunding.
Thank you, Jonathan. So I'm going to introduce Jessica Sweeney over at Common Folk Collective, and she can share a little intro about herself. Jessica.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Sweeney. I run a number of, I'm kind of involved in a number of things in my community of North Adams, Massachusetts, but my biggest project is running Artist Collective, which is a collective made of about 40 to 50 different local artists. All of us pay dues to have a shared studio space and a shared retail space right in downtown North Adams. And we do a whole bunch of different activities. We kind of like to describe ourselves as an artist playground. So what we do, the programming that we do kind of changes year to year based on the artists that are involved with the collective at the time. A lot of us do many different mediums, so we're not just like a music collective or visual arts collective. We have a range of different mediums involved in the collective at any given point. And when we have folks join us that have mediums that we don't really have at the time, we try to work together to collaborate on how those artists can connect with resources that will help their creativity thrive. We dominantly load a middle income collective, so a lot of people really depend on their art sales that they make in the space when we're open. And yeah, we're kind of like, we have a lot going on, so I could go on forever about what we do.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Did Nicola happen to hop on?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Thanks, Becky. So what I'm going to do is do a quick overview of the Biz-M-Power grant program, and then we're going to open it up for Jessica to share a little bit about her experience, and you can ask questions to myself, Jonathan, and whenever Nicoletta joins us. So the Biz-M-Power grant program is a crowdfunding matching grant program. We currently have about 5 to 6 million available in matching grants. The objective of this grant is to help entrepreneurs and business owners like yourself to obtain equity in your business. And that is through the local support of the residents, neighborhood, community members, and stakeholders alike by utilizing this community-based crowdfunding platform. Preferences will be given to low to moderate income brick and mortar businesses owned by women, minorities, immigrants, non-native English speakers, U.S. military veterans, disabled individuals, members of the GLBTQ community, and businesses that operate in gateway cities. Next slide, please. So since the launch of Biz-M-Power in 2021, we have helped over 70 businesses raise over $1 million in contributions, and they received over $850,000 in matching grant funds, and that is still going up. Next slide, please. And we're just going to share a video on what is crowdfunding.
We can't hear this.
Becky,
But that's
just tested it earlier. Let's try it one more.
Crowdfunding is the process of getting a large group of people,
Yes.
a crowd, to financially support the funding of a project within a certain constrained time frame. Through the Biz-M-Power program, your successful crowdfunding campaign will unlock your matching grant from the MGCC if you reach your preset campaign goal. Businesses pre-approved by MGCC will develop their crowdfunding page on the Patronicity platform, where they will tell the personal story of their business and the plans for what they'll do with their new funding. They will also be assigned a crowdfunding coach to work one-on-one with them to help them build their campaign page, structure their recognition levels, and develop a campaign outreach strategy. Biz-M-Powered is intended to help participating businesses tap into and strengthen the connection to their existing support base, while also connecting with new customers by offering creative recognition levels like products, gift cards, personalized gift baskets, access to special dinners or events, and more. When your crowd helps you reach your funding goal, they also help you unlock your MGCC matching grant, a powerful community effort.
So quickly, that was a good summary. And we'll hear from Theresa and Jessica and Nicola after the quick overview of the program. But really, a lot of folks are new to crowdfunding. I'd say 98% of folks have never run a crowdfunding campaign before they take part in this program. You'll hear from folks who've taken part in this program about how they received support, what it was like going through the program for themselves, what it was like setting up the campaign, applying. But really don't let sort of the unknown or the fear of crowdfunding stop you from applying for this program. We've worked with so far over 70 businesses, over 80 businesses successfully to actually run campaigns. So the fact that you haven't done this before shouldn't be a reason to not apply. And we hope that we can kind of talk to you and kind of assuage any concerns and kind of break down any myths that are around crowdfunding. But really, it's really about helping you connect with your community, both an existing community that has patroned or supported you in the past, but also potentially a new community that you haven't had a chance to connect with, and using this campaign in these programs to really build your base of supporters within your own neighborhoods and communities that you work in.
Thanks, Jonathan. So I'm going to talk a little bit about approved use of funds for this grant. I know that some of you have some retail store locations. If you're in the chat, if you just want to put quickly, like what type of retail store that you run, whether if it's like a clothing, art related, etc. So approved use of funds are acquire or purchasing a facility. Jessica Sweeney will share a little bit about her experience with that with common folk. Expansion or improvement of existing facilities. So examples are these are just examples, new building signage or remodel, additional square footage, so that's a build out for the expansion, leasing a facility, so that could be a new location. Or it could be if you're a home-based business and or have pop-up locations and you want to purchase your first brick or move into your first brick and mortar, that would only cover the deposit fee, first and last month's rent. And then purchasing equipment is really popular. So commercial oven, refrigerator, salon chair, POS system for your retail space. Other capital needs of the business, again, are intangible assets like license or patents. Not approved use of funds are day-to-day operational costs. So that is, you can't use it for working capital. So no inventory and supplies, no utility bills, no employee payroll, no employee benefits, not on current rent and not on current lease, no marketing costs. That includes websites and no reimbursement for funds. So these are for future projects that you may have in mind. Next slide, please. So eligibility for the Biz-M-Power grant, right, is we were talking about approved use of funds, that your business is a customer-facing physical presence. You employ 1 to 20 full-time employees. Your revenues don't exceed 2.5 million. You've been in operations for at least 3 months. So if you're an early start business, you would just have to show proof of sales. Again, matching grants, eligible business matching grants are anywhere from 2,500 up to 20K. And we'll talk more about that in this program. Again, if you reach your target goal or raise over 5,000 on the crowdfunding platform, MGCC will match that goal, with the exception of all or nothing campaigns, commercial vehicles, or purchase of property. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, really quick. What is the process? Step 1, applying for the application on the MGC website through submittables. Again, the required documentation is listed on the website. Step 2, that conditional approval from MGCC, we would be assigned a crowdfunding coach. We'll share a little bit about that experience later. Step 3, to make a plan for crowdfunding. Again, you're going to work one-on-one, so you're not alone in this process with your crowdfunding coach. You have anywhere from 30 to 60 days to run that campaign, and your campaign must be launched within 30 days of that MGCC approval. Step 4 is the fun part, is where if your campaign reaches the goal or over 5,000, with the exception of all or nothing campaigns, you will be receiving a matching grant. So that is community dollars and matching dollars. Next slide, please. If you need additional support at the end of this program, we have Doug Ling from Small Business Strong that will share a little bit about small business technical assistance provider if you need assistance. And then Becky will drop all of this information in a PDF in the chat, so you have easy access to this. And then next slide, please. That is just my contact info. If you have any questions, next slide, please. And so what we're going to do is, Becky, I'm going to have you, if you could share Common Folk, their campaign, and then for a little bit, and then I'm going to have you stop share screening so that we can chat.
And just one comment too for everybody who's on the presentation right now. We're going to ask a few questions and we'll have a little bit of a conversation, but if anything comes to mind, if you have any questions about the program or about Jessica's experience in the program, about how the program has worked in the past, feel free to drop your questions in the chat and we'll get to those as we get to open Q&A.
Thanks, Jonathan. So Jessica, again, congratulations on running a successful crowdfunding campaign. As we can see here, that you had a crowdfunding target goal at 20K and you raised $27,000 $310. That's really exciting for. Can you just share with everyone what you were using the funds for?
So our use of this funds was really centered on acquiring the business condominium that we were currently in. We had a moment earlier in the summer where when we were leasing the same space at the time, our landlord said that there was someone interested in buying it, but we had a first right of refusal in our lease, and we a very, very long story short, had been hopping all around different places, popping up in different places in downtown North Adams. And we saw this grant opportunity and felt it was a really great opportunity for us to stop hopping around and finally kind of settle in place and really start to develop and grow the collective in the way that we do. So funding are
Just
and,
you're breaking up.
honestly, we wouldn't have been able to. I'm just gonna walk closer to my Wi-Fi router. We really wouldn't have been able to purchase our building without this funding. So it was really.
So just a question for you. So how did you first approach? I think one of the concerns a lot of folks have is the approach to the giving levels and the support levels. So how did you first approach that? What was your thought process going into it? And how did you kind of think about structuring those?
That was actually a really fun part for us. We've done really small, like, $5,000 campaigns before. And in our experience with talking with other people, we sort of had already kind of done those kinds of levels on a smaller scale. So we talked with the collective about what we all could give. Were there different people who had art that they wanted to share, or like, could we come up with, for instance, we made a custom poster. So that was, because we're an artist collective, a very easy thing for us that of the whole process. Everyone kind of chipped in different ideas. One of our musicians gave a performance to larger donations. And we had a level that I believe had like where they could get a free piece of original art. And so a bunch of artists donated art to that giving level. So that was really fun. And we also, if I remember correctly, this is over a year ago and I had a baby son. So like my ability to remember things is a little waney, but we also talked with folks at in the Biz-M-Power program who helped us shape those in a way that seemed tangible. Just to add that I think it's really important to think about tangibility and just in creating those levels. Honestly, we found that a lot of the people who were supposed to get gifts ended up saying, no, don't worry about it, give it to someone else. And so like, I don't think you have to think you don't want to burn out your capacity in the midst of by trying to create or come up with items that might create a lot of work for you. Really thinking about items that are easy and valuable and like really have a sense of behind them, or like are original to the program, because people will end up not even picking up their gifts, and then you have left over. So
and Jessica, a couple of great points there. I just wanted to kind of reiterate those. The first one is really don't try to extend yourself too far. If you don't make t-shirts for your retailer or your restaurant or whatever it might be, don't go out and go to the expense of creating t-shirts and creating these things, especially for the campaign, because that will just be an unnecessary expense that I don't think you need to do here. It also become a very cumbersome and expensive process. Really think creatively about different things that will help connect your business to your potential customers, whether it is gift cards, whether it's special events. I know a lot of folks have had really good success with like special opening nights or special events, and for a certain giving level, you get access to this special event. So definitely something really important to think about there. And other folks have had some success with just, it's a thank you for your contribution of $50, and that's been the extent of it. I think it really just depends on sort of what your business is, your sort of connection to the community already, but really using this campaign, as Jessica said too, as an opportunity to really build and strengthen your connection with your existing customer base and build a new customer base as well, and a support base for your business and your community. Go ahead, Theresa.
So Jessica, I think it makes it a really good point that your patrons, like, they really want to see you succeed and grow your business. I was wondering if you could share a little bit how you heard about Biz-M-Power. I know that you had worked with an SBT provider.
Yeah, so our SBT provider is through a program called Assets for Artists. They're housed in Mass MoCA, which is a huge museum in North Adams, for those that aren't familiar. And Assets for Artists does a lot of really amazing work in North Adams and really across the state and other, I think they're actually reaching into Connecticut and Rhode Island as well, to really help with artists on like the back end of their business. And so they tend to send us grants and, help us brainstorm opportunities to keep us thriving and continuing to be successful and develop the collective. So they had someone who works in that program is also a member of the collective, and she heard of that grant program at the same time that we were like, oh no, we might have to leave in a few months. And so it was really amazing timing in that sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just one other question too. Was there something, did you learn about sort of your base, and was there apprehension, I think, coming into the program, whether you could do this? And then I think, did you learn something about your business, your base of supporters, your community through doing this campaign?
So I think initially there was some apprehension around deciding our goal, because and really the story at the end of the day, I mean, our community has witnessed us moving around to these different places, trying to stabilize ourselves. So we felt like our story was there as well. And so, there was a little bit of division in the beginning. Like, some people felt really apprehensive about doing a larger goal because we live in a really small community, and we did, it was just coming on the tails of sort of the end of the pandemic, and we didn't know what people's capacity was for giving. So what we did, a really crucial piece, is we spent a chunk of time doing a pre-pledge phase. We do a handful, probably like 15 to 25 people who we felt would end up being some of our larger givers. And we said, if we apply for this grant, is this something that you would help us fund and help us do? And, talked about what our position was with our space. And when we got to about 50 to 60% of the campaign, before we even applied for the grant, that confidence was strongly renewed. And we decided to go for the full thing. What we ended up learning from our community, especially through the launch of the campaign specifically, is that our community really values our involvement in this community and really wanted us to stay. The success off the bat, I think we just were quickly raising money, and we went wildly over our goal, and that said to us that our community really wants us to stay. And we had people reaching out to us, some of our supporters, being like, how can I make an additional match in this? How can I leverage my donation to encourage other donations? And we just had everyone sort of really in on the like strategic level of the whole process. And so that was really validating to us at a time where we were feeling really insecure about our ability to stay in downtown North Adams. Like, we knew our value was important and what we offer to our artists that are part of the collective. But all of those feelings were really validated when the campaign was that much more successful. And I think an important thing we learned is that people really value local businesses. Like, it wasn't even just about us, it was also that like our community really wanted to push us to stay.
That's a great point. Thanks, Jessica. And that last point too, we've seen that a lot across a number of states where there's been sort of this renewed appreciation, I think, that people didn't realize how much they actually had for small businesses in their communities. It's really come to light a lot more after they didn't have it for so many months. They realize what they missed, whether it's restaurants or retailers or bars, that local feel, that connection with the actual business owner, the creators, the makers themselves. So sort of a renewed interest in actually supporting small business. And another point I wanted to make too, the program rules have changed slightly since Jessica's campaign. So there's actually a sort of a basement of $5,000. So if you were to attempt to raise $20,000 and you only actually do raise $7,000, the match would actually, you would be matched at that $7,000 because you raised over that $5,000 basement, so long as you can show what those funds would actually be applied towards through an updated budget at the end of your campaign. So hopefully a little bit more confidence in folks being able to try for some of those higher levels of amounts and applying for higher levels. I think Nicola joined us. Hi, Nicola.
I'm sorry, I'm an entrepreneur. I had a staff emergency, so I had to deal with it, and then I jumped back on.
No
worries.
worries, we understand.
Thanks for joining us. We understand. Teresa, do you want to go ahead and introduce?
Yes. So everyone, I just want to introduce Nicola. She's from Hipstich over in Newton. If you want to share just a little bit about your business.
Sure. So we're a craft and sewing studio. We mainly teach kids, and we do camps, birthday parties, after school classes. But this is my third location. So I have one in Newton, one in Wellesley, and I did the campaign to open in Brookline. So I was probably a little different than other people because I already had a following, and I kind of did a bit of research to see if there would be a demand in Brookline, and we already had customers who drove to Newton. So I kind of pitched, I realized I was able to pitch to those people if they wanted to have a location in Brookline to make it more convenient, and then I could run the campaign,
Mm-hmm. Could you just share a little bit about what you used the funds for and how much you raised during your campaign?
So I raised 13,450, something around that figure. I had proposed to raise the 12,000, and I had to meet that, or else obviously I couldn't get the fund. I couldn't get the match from the state. So I did it for the build out. So it was pretty easy. I already done 2 studios, so I could figure out cost of the desk, tables, sewing machines, and all that kind of stuff, and then the labor to do it. So I used it for all of that. And then as I launched the campaign, I took photographs and I was showing people like what we would be doing. So that way they could get a sense of, and I don't know if you want to give me more, if you want me to give more details of how I incentivize people if they gave a certain match. I kind of did an incentive based. If you give 100, you get this. If you give 500, you get this, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Touch on that point, Nicola. Can you tell folks sort of how you thought about approaching those giving levels? Because I think that's one of the things that people tend to be very unsure about.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Well,
something what you did too.
yeah, well, the people that you get matched up with, Patronicity, I think it is, they gave you a coach, and they looked at my business, and then they tried to look at similar businesses who'd raised funds successfully in other states, and they gave you that as sort of your homework, and then you read their appeal, and you said, oh, that makes sense. So you know, you have to have how is it called? You have to have not a punchline. You'd want a title that grabs people's attention. So mine was art brings people together in community. So that was the kind of, you know, and of course we've just come out of the pandemic. So people are realizing, like you said earlier, that kids want to do social things. They want to be together. They don't, I mean, of course they love being on their phones, but they want to be with other kids doing fun things. And so that helped me with the pitch, you know. So kids were making masks and things during the pandemic, and they want the social aspect. So I tried to use that as that was the hook. And then the storyline was that kind of thing in the body of the appeal, you know.
Theresa, do you want to go ahead and open it up to any folks on the call right now who have any questions for ourselves, Jessica, Nicola?
Yes, yeah. So if anybody has any questions, you can unmute yourself. If you feel comfortable enough, you can also do video. You can raise your hand and we'll try our best to call. Or you can just enter your question in the chat. Again, the question could go to Jessica, Nicola, Jonathan, or I.
John, I think you have your hand up.
I'm John Santos. I'm with MGCC as a senior lender. Nicola, did you exceed your goal of
Yeah.
12,000? Okay. And
Yeah, like a couple of thousand.
And you received the match?
Yep.
Oh, nice. Okay. That's all. I wasn't clear.
Yeah, I did.
Congratulations.
I was able
That's great.
to move forward with the project, you know.
Nice. Okay.
No other question?
Theresa, I can share a few things as to what I do with MGCC as a lender, if that helps, or.
We can do it at the end, John. Is that okay?
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions?
I have a question. Is it the campaign's continuing, the same campaign till when is the funding available, till the end of this year, or are they just
so our Biz-M-Power grant program, it's open until June 30th of 2023. We are currently still doing monthly reviews. Nicola and Jessica, just so others are new on the call, but others that have done prior campaigns, since it's a new fiscal year, you can apply to do a new campaign for a new project.
So I could apply again in January 2023?
You ran your campaign in
this February, I did it.
Yeah. After your start date, your campaign launch start date, you can do another project.
1 year after, to clarify, 1 year after campaign start date.
Yeah.
Oh, so February 2023. Okay, I'll be looking around then for another study.
Great. Does anybody have any questions?
I have a question. How do you advertise how do people get to know about it? Because I think that's the problem with small businesses. Unless you as you just saw, I'm late to the meeting. So you're always dealing with everyday operations. And it's often hard to know all this information and find out about it. You know, how do you reach small business people?
So right now we're doing this webinar series that is recorded. We hope to have that as a resource for future business owners. obviously we've been promoting within our SBTA community, again, reaching out to, oh my goodness.
Chambers of Commerce.
Yes. Sorry. Yes. So again, you know, for businesses that are on the call, if you know any other business owners, definitely you can share this information with them. There's a lot of resource and support you know offered also for filling out if you needed help for that submittable application. Again, Nicola, how did you find that process? I think you were.
I found, well, I haven't done a campaign for business, but I've done obviously GoFunds, that kind of thing. So it's very similar, but you have to monitor it. And then I guess you have to understand, you're trying to connect with your customer, right? Or the people that spreading the word. I guess that's the hard thing. So you've got to be on top of that, because you only have the 30-day window. So that's kind of a crunch time, right? So on Facebook, sending out newsletters, that kind of thing. But the coaches at Patronicity, they're amazing. Like they would say, hey, you know, you're almost there. How about you do that? Like they sort of give you pointers. Like, how about you send out a newsletter and tell people where you're at goal-wise, you know, or we're almost there. We're only this much short, or, you know, that kind of thing. Because you forget, you know, you feel, and I think probably small business owners feel like they don't want to ask for money and it's personal, but it's not, because like, you know, people want you, if they want you bad enough in that community for whatever it is you do in a restaurant or what I was doing for children, then they'll support you, hopefully. I mean, that's the idea, right? And especially because you're a small business, I think now people are realizing, like you said earlier, we don't want corporate America everywhere. It's fine in some places, but small businesses bring community and people together, and the pandemic heightened that and highlighted it for us, you know.
Thanks, Nicole. I'll relay that. I'm with Patronicity. I don't think you missed that before, but I'll relay that message to your coach for sure. It's always nice to hear. So
Yeah, it was great. He was really good.
Yeah. I was gonna say, so both you and Jessica have spoken about how you've utilized this grant to help market your business, and basically it's a platform, guys, to be able to share about share the story about your business. So it's really an opportunity and a large platform for you to share about your business, a tangible need that you have, and the local community does want to support. I do want to open it up to both Jessica and Nicoletta, if we don't have any more questions, kind of, what advice would you give someone who's considering applying for this program?
Want to go, Jessica?
Yeah, I have kind of two pieces. And I think the most important one is, like, in this campaign, to really center and think about the community that you have already built, and not being afraid to ask for help, because when you have spent all this time, you know, operating your business, and helping your community is going to want to help you in a time where it makes sense. And, you know, I had a mentor in college that said that if you don't ask, you don't get. And we really tried to keep that at the forefront of our mind through this whole process of, like, well, we could have this and we're not going to get it if we don't ask. And if we don't ask our community to help us get there. And then my other piece, I kind of alluded to this before, is I think it was really helpful to spend time strategizing and thinking about who we would ask and making a list of those people prior to applying, really taking like an hour. It took us an hour meeting with a couple people in the collective to say, who do we think are our biggest supporters, and what do we, roughly what do we think they could give? And that helped us really determine that goal. And, you know, doing that work initially and having those conversations really helped those people come out right at the beginning of the campaign, which made the campaign that much stronger. So yeah, I think really both of those things tie into looking at and assessing like what community have you built through your business, and how do you engage that community to make it all happen.
Jessica, I missed the beginning of the meeting. So what did you raise your money? What was your business? What is your business? And what did you raise the money?
I run Common Folk Artist Collective. So we're a artist collective that has a retail space as well as a shared studio in the back. And our goal was 20,000 and we ended up raising 27 and some change.
That's good.
Yeah. It's pretty exciting that you guys have a permanent home now. So yeah. And your little one is so cute.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yes, the youngest member of the collective.
Does anybody else have any questions? There's no silly questions. So any questions for Jonathan, myself, Jessica, or Nicola?
Did you want to give Doug a chance to talk?
Yes, yeah, okay. So I'm gonna put a spotlight on you, Doug. So I'm gonna introduce Doug Ling, who is Small Business Strong. Can you share a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Congratulations, Jessica and Nicola. Actually, Nicola, your store in Wellesley is right in my town. So
Yes,
say hi to you at some point.
I didn't raise me campaign for that one though. That was self-funded, just so you know.
Once again, so I think Small Business is a small business technical assistant organization. We provide free consulting to small businesses in Massachusetts. We started at the beginning of the pandemic by some civic leaders such as State Street Bank, Boston Chamber of Commerce, Bank of America, and Mass Mutual, to provide assistance to small business initially to get the PPP applications in and equitable and the environment EIDL, what's the EIDL? The SBA grants, and then later on some of the Mass Growth Capital Corporation COVID relief grants, and we help over 3,000 small businesses in this 2 years or so, and been helping folks to get the application put together for both the Biz-M-Power and the Empower Digital program that MGCC offers. We probably help maybe 2 dozen or a dozen small businesses with the Biz-M-Power. We help over 100 businesses with the Empower Digital applications. So we help to help. If you need, you can see the link, sign up, and we can assign you a business advisor that will help you walk you through the initial process. And if outside of the Biz-M-Power program, we can also help you with general business questions, and just go to the website and sign up.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, and also just so folks know on the call, for when you're ready to apply to the Biz-M-Power grant program, in the eligibility form and in the application is a link where you can sign up for technical assistance. And they're a great resource.
Yeah.
Does anybody in the chat have any questions that they want to ask? Or, I mean, this is No.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? So when you apply, how fast do you get like approved?
Who am I? Sorry, who am I speaking with?
Palmer?
Palmer? Hi, Palmer. Thanks. So the Biz-M-Power grant review process is a monthly review. It takes anywhere from less than 6 weeks to hear a response back, whether or not your application needs to be cured. So that is, if you're missing documentation, we'll send a message out to you. Yeah, so less than 6 weeks, if not sooner. And then we have monthly reviews, Palmer. I think the next one is October 31st is our next review deadline. And those are monthly review deadlines. They're usually the last Monday of each month. Yeah, can you share a little bit about, Palmer, if you feel comfortable? What is your retail store or space, or what about your business?
So my business is called Grind Hustle Sneakers. It's a retail sneaker store. Yeah. It's at home base right now, but I'm working on, you know, to up the rankings and what's available, was to improve my business right now.
Yeah, I would reach out to Doug Ling. He's a good resource for you to have, and if you're looking for that retail, again, that first brick and mortar retail space, to grow your business or any other equipment or needs that you may have.
And you said you guys like support like pop-ups?
So my references with pop-ups were for early start businesses. So if you're an early start business, and let's just say you had a pop-up location in a farmer's market and you're looking to move into a storefront, the Biz-M-Power grant can help you with that first and last month's and deposit for that storefront facility. Obviously, it's in advance. Yes.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks,
Question, Theresa, but you do need to have a location identified and with the
yes.
lease pending.
With a
right?
physical, yes. If you're, again, we see a lot of businesses that are early start businesses since the pandemic also, and similar to Nicola, and there's a few similar to Jessica actually purchase a property in that, yeah, businesses are growing. So they're, you know, obviously you have to build revenues and sales, you know, the smaller market, if you had a farmer's, I'm just using an example of farmer's market, that's what I can think of, you know, or like a cart in the mall for retail spaces. We have had a couple of those that applied and actually ran successful campaigns, but they were all looking to like expand for more storefront facility. So
wasn't part of the program also to show that you'd be creating new jobs? Wasn't that kind of, that makes your application stronger, right? If you can give jobs to new people.
It's not an eligibility requirement. So there is a mix. There is a mix of new growth for new growth for your business, right? If for new employees. But it's not a requirement.
Oh, but I think
I understand how the calls it out. Yeah,
that's one of the questions on the application, isn't it?
It is, but it's not like if you were a business and you were just stabilizing, right? Using the funds to remodel your retail space, example. No, it's not like graded. If that makes sense. The only thing is graded if you're a low to moderate income business owner, your application goes to the top of the list, but it's just a preference. It's just a preference. Thanks for asking.
So I need to have like a location pending to like apply. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Palmer.
Okay.
Well, you'd need that because you'd need to know how much money you need to raise, right? So what's the monthly rent and utilities, and you project out basically, because without that number, you have no idea.
Yeah, it just sounds like again, small business strong. The business environment is going to help you do like organize, do a little more research. And whatnot. Doug can get your contact information as well.
Yeah.
Um,
And of course, if you unfortunately don't qualify for this program, we can help you look at the resources as well. So.
Elaine, did you have a question? I know that you've gone on to video. By chance, does she have a question? Okay. Does anybody have any last minute questions or comments or before I close this out? All right.
They definitely apply for it. It can be a lifesaver for a small business, Don't have to carry debt. It helps you get on your feet,
Yes.
starting out.
Mhm.
Because cash flow is the biggest problem, right? When you're a small business.
Mhm. That is absolutely correct, Nicola. This grant is designed to build equity in your company, and it ends up being a positive cash flow on your balance sheet. And the good news is that you don't. This is not a loan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I will say, since we opened our location, did the goal, we got the funding, we got the okay in March, we built the space, did the whole build out, took a month, April, and from April to now our sales have doubled since last year. So just as an idea to let people know, if it's and if you're a new business, obviously, then you don't have to use your money to do the build out, which is the costly part.
Yes. Well, Jessica, Nicoletta, Doug, Jonathan, thank you so much. It's been an honor to work with all of you, and yeah.
Thanks, Nicole and Jessica. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Mhm.